Breaking XRP news is once again trending across the crypto community, and one name that keeps coming up is Jake Claver. Many investors and analysts are asking the same question right now. Will Jake Claver actually be right about XRP? This conversation has been gaining momentum, not because of hype alone, but because it touches on broader themes like long-term market behavior, regulatory clarity, and how narratives shape investor expectations. In this video, we're going to take a calm, grounded, and fully informational look at what's being discussed, why Jake Claver's views are getting attention, and what this could realistically mean for XRP, without making predictions, promises, or financial advice. First, it's important to understand why XRP continues to attract attention year after year. XRP is not just another digital asset that appeared during a hype cycle. It has been around for over a decade, built with a specific use case in mind, facilitating fast and low-cost cross-border payments. That utility-focused design is one of the main reasons XRP has remained relevant even through multiple market cycles. While many projects faded away, XRP stayed in the conversation even during periods of uncertainty. Now, when someone like Jake Claver talks about XRP, people listen, not necessarily because he claims certainty, but because he often frames his opinions around broader market structures, adoption patterns, and historical context. His commentary tends to spark discussion rather than blind agreement, and that's exactly where healthy analysis begins. Still, it's critical to remember that opinions, no matter how confident or well-researched, are not guarantees. One of the reasons Jake Claver's views stand out is that he often focuses on long-term positioning instead of short-term price movement. In today's social media-driven market, most conversations revolve around daily candles, quick pumps, or dramatic crashes. Jake's approach, however, looks at infrastructure, regulation, and institutional behavior. Whether someone agrees with him or not, that perspective resonates with investors who are tired of noise and speculation. XRP's history plays a major role in why predictions around it are so controversial. Over the years, XRP has experienced strong rallies, extended consolidations, legal challenges, and renewed interest. Each phase brought in new believers and skeptics alike. This mixed history creates a unique emotional environment around XRP, one where hope and caution coexist. Jake Claver's commentary often sits right in the middle of that emotional spectrum, which is why it sparks debate. A major part of the discussion centers around regulation. XRP's legal journey in the United States has been one of the most closely watched events in crypto history. Regulatory clarity, or the lack of it, has had a clear impact on market sentiment. Many analysts believe that regulation, not technology, will be one of the biggest deciding factors for digital assets in the coming decade. Jake Claver often highlights this point, emphasizing that adoption at scale usually follows clarity, not speculation. Another reason people ask whether Jake Claver could be right about XRP is because of shifting institutional attitudes. Over the past few years, large financial institutions have shown growing interest in blockchain-based solutions. This doesn't automatically mean price increases or mass adoption, but it does suggest that the technology behind certain digital assets is being taken more seriously. XRP, with its focus on payments and settlement efficiency, naturally becomes part of that conversation. However, it's also important to recognize that markets rarely move in straight lines. Even if a project has strong fundamentals, external factors like macroeconomic conditions, interest rates, global liquidity, and investor sentiment can influence outcomes. Jake Claver himself has acknowledged that timelines are uncertain and outcomes depend on multiple variables aligning. That kind of acknowledgement is essential for keeping discussions grounded and responsible. Social media has amplified XRP discussions more than ever. Short clips, bold thumbnails, and dramatic headlines can easily distort nuanced opinions. Sometimes Jake Claver's statements are taken out of context and turned into absolute claims, even when they were originally framed as possibilities or scenarios. This is where viewers need to slow down and separate interpretation from original intent. From a technological standpoint, XRP continues to evolve. Development activity, partnerships, and infrastructure improvements are ongoing, even during quieter market periods. Supporters argue that this consistency shows long-term commitment rather than short-term hype. Critics, on the other hand, point out that adoption takes time, and competition in the payment space is intense. Both perspectives are valid, and Jake Claver's analysis often sits between optimism and realism. One of the most misunderstood aspects of XRP discussions is the the idea of timing. Many people want clear dates, price targets, or milestones. In reality, markets don't work that way. Jake Claver has repeatedly emphasized that timing market moves is extremely difficult, even for experienced analysts. His focus tends to be on positioning rather than prediction, which aligns with how institutional strategies usually operate. Another factor worth mentioning is global adoption outside the United States. XRP-related discussions often focus heavily on US regulation, but financial systems are global. Cross-border payments involve multiple jurisdictions, each with its own regulatory framework. Jake Claver has pointed out that international adoption could progress independently of US market sentiment, which adds another layer of complexity to any analysis. At the same time, competition in the digital payments space is real. Traditional systems are evolving, new blockchain projects are emerging, and central bank digital currencies are being explored worldwide. XRP is not operating in a vacuum. Whether Jake Claver's outlook proves accurate will depend not only on XRP's progress, but also on how the entire financial ecosystem evolves over time. Another reason this conversation matters is investor psychology. During long consolidation periods, confidence can fade. When someone presents a structured, long-term perspective, it can restore interest, but it can also create unrealistic expectations if misunderstood. That's why responsible discussion matters. Jake Claver's commentary tends to encourage patience rather than urgency, which is an important distinction. It's also worth noting that being right in markets is rarely absolute. An analyst might be right about direction, but wrong about timing, or right about adoption, but wrong about market reaction. When people ask whether Jake Claver will be right about XRP, the better question might be which parts of the analysis align with reality over time. Markets reward adaptability more than certainty. Another key element is transparency. Jake Claver generally frames his views as opinions, not guarantees. That aligns with responsible financial content creation. Viewers should always cross-check information, consider multiple perspectives, and understand their own risk tolerance before making decisions. This video, like Jake's discussions, is meant to inform, not instruct. XRP's community plays a major role in keeping the asset relevant. Community-driven discussion can sustain interest through difficult periods, but it can also amplify emotional reactions. Jake Claver's influence partly comes from addressing that community in a way that's analytical rather than emotional. Whether one agrees with him or not, that tone contributes to more productive conversations. Looking ahead, the biggest question isn't whether one person's prediction comes true. The real question is how digital assets like XRP fit into the evolving financial system. Regulation, technology, institutional behavior, and global economics will all play a role. Jake Claver's analysis touches on these factors, which is why his views are part of the ongoing discussion. As we move forward, it's important to stay grounded. Markets move in cycles. Narratives change. Confidence rises and falls. XRP has survived multiple cycles, and that alone makes it worth watching. Whether Jake Claver ends up being right in specific aspects or not, the broader conversation highlights how maturing this space has become. In closing, breaking XRP news should always be approached with curiosity rather than urgency. Opinions like Jake Claver's are tools for discussion, not instructions for action. Staying informed, thinking critically, and avoiding emotional decision-making are far more valuable than chasing certainty in an uncertain market. XRP's story is still unfolding, and like all long-term stories,